I think, yeah. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. We welcome you to Germantown Academy on a beautiful Saturday afternoon for some boys basketball hoops. The visiting Pennington School Red Raiders taking on the Germantown Academy Patriots in a battle of two non-league teams. Pennington and Germantown Academy, for GA, their last home game of the season, also their last non-league game, as this game was rescheduled from earlier in the season after a cancellation due to the weather. And right off the bat here, Marcus Gaffney, number 12 with the early three-pointer for the Pennington School. Up to an early 3-0 lead here today in Fort Washington. Pennington enters 7-7 overall this season. GA 8-11 after last night. Rollerson on a nice two off of the pass from Blake Smith. First points of the game from the freshman. You mentioned GA 3-5 in league play. They had a very tough 1-point loss in overtime against the William Penn Charter School Quakers last night. Tuesday, though, a big win over the Haverford School for their third win of the season on Senior Day. But nonetheless, a very tough win, or loss, excuse me, against Penn Charter last night. Here comes an open three from Pierce, and he knocks it down.
Yeah, Corey, GA today without starting point guard Jake Shue and also forward Cole Putnam. So they're going to need this guy, Blake
Smith.
He's coming off a hot night last night. So.
An uncharacteristic miss on a wide open layup, and the transition here from Pennington falls down. That was Marcus Woolhouse. Yeah, you said it, Jack. 35 points for Blake Smith last night against Penn Charter. Easily the leading scorer of the game. Here he is handing the ball off to Bryce Rollerson. We'll get back to Smith in a moment, who's been GA's leading scorer all year long, but he's never eclipsed 30 points in his career. Traina with 9 left to shoot, holds onto the ball. It's Marvin now circling all the way across to Smith. He's got to put it up, but gets rejected here by Woolhouse. Quinn Corman in the game for the Patriots. It will be GA ball, just 2 seconds left on the shot clock as Smith exits here with Corman replacing him.
Corman brings in, sorry Corey.
Yeah. As GA runs out of time on the shot clock. 2 seconds left, and go ahead, Jack.
I was just going to say, Quinn Corman brings in a little bit of shooting. He caught fire in the first quarter on Senior Day against Haverford, so GA's looking for him to bring in some shooting for them.
On Senior Day, on Tuesday, Quinn Corman in the starting five for the first time this season, hit 3 threes in that first quarter, as you mentioned, Jack. Gave GA that 9 points. That was so key. GA really coming alive in that game against Haverford. Played with so much energy and enthusiasm on Senior Day. They honor their 8 seniors. Pennington cycles it around. Pierce, tough layup. It's good with the left hand.
Yeah, Corey, like you said, they played great against Haverford on Tuesday. And last night, that's a great Penn Charter team that they lost to. You know, really, really heartbreaking result. Obviously, that's a game where you're up late in the game. You want to win it, but I think they're playing really good basketball right now, and they're going to try and continue it today, even though they're a little shorthanded.
Yeah, Penn Charter probably the eventual Interact champion. Bryce Rollerson has all 4 of the GA points so far. Another mid-range floater's good. Pennington lead trimmed to 6 points. They whip it ahead here. Nice job to corral the pass here. And then they finish it off. That was Brandon Russell as Pennington forces the turnover here. Another opportunity for them to convert. They do just that. Corey Miller, the junior. That name sounds familiar, Jack.
Yeah, it's pretty familiar. Spelled differently, though.
Yeah, with an E. I do not spell it with an E. That's okay. You're saying the same thing, as Coach Stone will take a timeout, trailing by 10 early on, 14-4.
Yeah, Pennington quick off the blocks here. And they haven't had to do much to score, in all honesty. They're getting easy looks underneath, so GA is going to need to toughen up defensively.
Well, today is technically the Coaches versus Cancer game. You get a look at Coaches versus Cancer, what they do. They work with the National Cancer Society, help raise money and awareness for the disease. Just a great organization that works with so many basketball communities, and GA has been a part of this Coaches versus Cancer program for around 20 years, and they're proud to be a part of it, and that's what we're playing for here today.
Yeah, Corey, obviously great cause.
After the timeout, Rollerson handing off to Casey Traina. Same 5 players out for the Patriots. 4.5 left in the first quarter. Traina almost converted on the tough layup, and he gets fouled on the putback attempt.
Yeah, Traina also had 18 last night. Very strong game from him. Very strong first half especially. And like I said earlier, without Shue today, him and Blake and Bryce are really going to need to be on today.
A double-double for Casey Traina in the loss last night. 18 points, as you said, to go along with 10 rebounds. And you look at Traina, such a good player. He was actually the leading scorer in that game against Haverford with 18 as well. Hit 4 threes, but he does such a great job, even for a guard, to grab those rebounds, and that's led to multiple double-doubles this year, despite kind of being the shorter player who plays in the paint. Converts on both free throws, and Blake Smith will come back in for Casey Traina. A fast start from Pennington nonetheless, though. Already up to 14 points. Again, this is GA's final home game of the season. Their final regular season game will be this coming week against Malvern Prep. So against a good Pennington team today, GA hopes to improve things in terms of their skill and only look to get better as they come closer to the state tournament. Smith intercepts a pass here, but it tipped right back to Pierce. Smith rejected that layup attempt. Get it to Luke Topley, whipping it ahead to Bryce Rollerson. 4 points so far for the freshman. Giving it to Smith. Nice move for Blake Smith. Converts on the layup.
There he is. And yeah, Corey, like you said, GA having played just less than a day ago, this is going to be a real test of their energy and, their shape, because just, playing 15 hours ago and then having to come here and play a good Pennington team, it's not an easy task, so they're going to have to show some real energy here. Yeah,
that game finishing late last night, a 7 o'clock start. That went into overtime. The game was so close throughout. And again, Blake Smith with the 35 points. Rollerson into a 3. He had a big one last night. No good. Corman to the rebound after Smith tipped it. Rollerson with the moves. Couldn't get it through the Pennington defense, though. This is Miller bringing it up. Marvin back defensively. His efforts in vain, though, as Miller converts on the layup attempt. GA quickly ahead. It's really been this Pennington offense setting the tone so far in this game. Corey Miller on that last layup attempt. Topley gets rejected hard by Woolhouse. Gets to the loose ball, though. 13 to shoot for GA. They whip it around. Smith, the fake gaining separation as they send it over to Corman in the corner. He tries a 3, not quite there.
Good ball move from the Patriots. Woolhouse already with 2 blocks. He's going to be an enforcer down low, but also the 2 shots he's blocked have been 3, so you got to watch out for him on the perimeter too.
You see the size he possesses. The 2 here from Corey Miller goes down. The point guard here on this Pennington team. Miller transferred from Ocean Township last year to Pennington. Pennington was in need of the point guard, and Miller's done a great job filling that role. Layup here from Rollerson, no good. Corey Miller, you see the handle he possesses along with his comfortability finishing through contact. We've seen that already today. Several made layups down in the paint as we have a foul called down low against GA. It'll be Brandon Russell shooting 2 at the line, looking to extend the Pennington lead. And you've alluded to it, Jack, as Traina will come back in for GA, subs in for Pennington as well. But a tough one for GA today, not only because they played late last night. It was a really kind of depressing finish in the game for so much. They led against Penn Charter. We'll get into that in a little bit. They lost by 1 in overtime, but also because Jake Shue and Cole Putnam both injured right now, so those are 2 big pieces. Shue with a starter and then putting him off the bench that GA doesn't have today.
Yeah. We saw Luke Topley had to start the game today. He's their GA's typical 6th man in the absence of Jake Shue. He started the game today, but maybe we'll get to see guys like Evan Spivey. We've already seen Quinn Corman today, so it also is an opportunity for us to get to see some guys that we don't usually see, and hopefully some younger guys.
Andrew Doherty and Flynn Brooks, 2 freshmen, are on the varsity roster. They're also injured, too. Traina sets up the Marvin 3. That's a little short. So the GA bench really being tested right now with the 2 recent injuries. Rebound to Pennington after the miss. As they go back up with it, they convert, counted N1. Destin Evans in off the bench. He has a chance to make it a 3-point play. And right now, GA has no answers for Pennington defensively.
Yeah, and I typically say it every broadcast, but GA is on the smaller side in terms of, typical teams, especially in the Interac. And a guy like Blake Smith, who's their primary scorer and primary ball handler at times, he's being asked to play center.
He's done a great job of that this season, having to play against guys who are much taller than him and are natural centers.
Especially on the defensive end,
Gets it from Trina here. He's fouled going up with it. That was Destin Evans who missed the free throw. So now it's 21-8 in favor of Pennington.
Yeah, Blake, the biggest guy, but you saw there how quickly he's able to get down the court. And obviously, we're going to see Tyler Nolan check in.
Tyler Nolan, the freshman. Smith throwing the first free throw. He'll shoot 2. And usually, we just talked about it, Nolan's gotten into some games this year, but it's usually been in games in which GA has a big lead as just a freshman. But now with the GA injuries, he's one of the first guys in off the bench today.
Especially in an out-of-league game, you're able to bring in guys that you wouldn't normally bring in because it's not that it's not as important, but, there's not as big of an emphasis on winning.
And obviously, as GA looks ahead to the state tournament, hopefully Putnam's injury is not prolonged, but unfortunately it seems like Jake Shue's foot injury is going to be something that may keep him out for the rest of the season. Just so unfortunate. No one deserves that to happen, but least of all a guy like Jake Shue.
Yeah.
And so if GA's going to be missing him the rest of the season, they're going to need to get some of these younger players playing experience as they look towards the state tournament.
And real quick, you really just got to give some credit to Jake Shue. I mean, he played on his foot, the Liz Frank injury after his football season, and it was never fully healed, but he chose to come back, chose to try and help out this team. And, if you were watching that game last night, you saw how much pain he was in just trying to play through it. So real credit to him.
One of the hardest workers you'll ever come across. Destin Evans, the last floaters. Good, under a minute left to play now. Pennington up over 20 points. 23-9 the lead. Trina stepping back. 3 is well short. Casey Trina hit 4 threes against Haverford on Tuesday. His shooting is infectious. So could be something GA's looking to exploit again today. Here comes an open 3 from Pennington. This one in and out. Rollerson up for the rebound. Up ahead to Tyler Nolan in on the basket. No finish as he went crashing into the boards on a hard foul by Pennington. So he'll be headed to the free throw line on a good take from Tyler Nolan. Two shots for Tyler Nolan as Luke Topley and Evan Spivey will check in for GA. Haven't seen a lot of Spivey so far this basketball season, but man, is he a great athlete. A very good football player, started on the team since he was a freshman. First team All-NRAC selection this year, number 2 ranked safety in Pennsylvania. And Spivey recently getting a lot of Division I football offers, including from Kent State and Bowling Green University, as Nolan finishes 1 of 2 at the line. Shot clock and game clock align pretty much exactly here, as Pennington will take a timeout and talk things over. So with that, it gives us a chance to kind of recap the GAPC game last night. We got to call a great GAPC game a few weeks ago here at GA, but it was exceeded by the one last night. GA trailed for most of the first half, but it was close throughout. GA went into halftime trailing by 4. They went on an 11-0 run at the end of the third quarter, and at the beginning of the fourth quarter to pull even with Penn Charter. A Bryce Rollerson 3 gave GA the lead with 3.5 left in the fourth quarter. GA held on to that lead until PC tied things at 71 with 7 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Then going into overtime, GA led for the majority of that, clinging to a 3-point lead with a minute left. Then PC connected with the go-ahead layup in overtime, which would be the decider with 7 seconds left in overtime.
Yeah, and part of that heartbreak, Corey, was just, how when GA was leading and, how they lost the lead. They led in the fourth quarter with 30 seconds left and led in overtime with 13, so it was just a real heartbreaker.
Out of bounds, so nothing doing on that Pennington attack. GA's got 4.7 seconds left to try to make something happen. The inbound to Blake Smith, charges ahead. He'll try it, 3 from downtown, that's just off the marks. A good start for Pennington, up by 13 after the first 8 minutes of play. Gives us a moment here as we head into the second quarter to get a look at our player to watch here today. Our first freshman player to watch, it is Bryce Rollerson, the freshman guard. He has seen so much playing time this year, even as a freshman. Really has seen the most playing time of any freshman since Jordan Longino. Has more points than any Interact freshman besides Kai Shinholster of Penn Charter. He's been one of GA's most consistent players, and he's just gaining more confidence. Jack, and you've said it several times throughout the year, does not play like a freshman.
Yeah, for me, so far this year has been GA's most consistent player. As a freshman, he's being asked to handle the ball in huge situations. We saw him with the ball in his hands with 20 seconds to go on the clock last night, so that just shows you how much confidence Coach Dolan has in him as a freshman. Also, really, really great kid, well-spoken, and I think he's going to continue to be the face of GA basketball for years to come.
Yeah, now with the injury to Shu, his role is only going to increase.
Exactly.
And yeah, it's done such a great job this
year. Yeah, like we said on Tuesday, you know, that those 8 seniors that are going to be gone next year, somebody's got to step up in that role. GA's no sophomores on their varsity roster and 2 juniors, so a lot of the responsibility is going to fall on the freshmen next year, especially Bryce Rollerson.
As we get set for play here in the second quarter, these 8-11 overall Patriots, 3-5 in league play. Their 3 wins coming against Haverford twice, including last Tuesday, and then also against Episcopal. Those are their 3 league wins. Foul here against Miller of Pennington. League losses for GA against Malvern, SCH, Penn Charter twice, SCH twice, and Episcopal. Malvern's the only team GA's yet to play twice. They'll do that again this week to wrap up the end of league season. Spivey getting here in the paint. Back out to Topley on a hop, who finds Nolan, who whips it over to Blake Smith. Going against the tall Woolhouse, sends it all the way over to Topley, puts up a 3. That's well short. Spivey's right there. What a move there. Finish was not quite there for the junior. 5 seconds left for GA to shoot, and Smith gets rejected by Corey Miller, but they're going to say that was a foul against Miller. You're seeing the all-around height of this Pennington team. Multiple shots blocked by them, and some of GA's threes have been well short of the mark.
Yeah, Pennington closing out really well right now, forcing GA to take some tough contested shots. GA shot the ball really well from 3 last night, and that was one of the main reasons that they were able to stay in that game.
Yeah, GA shot extremely well from 3 against Haverford on Tuesday, led by Corman and Trina. One of the reasons they were so successful in that game. Count the basket and one here as Marcus Gaffney drove all the way into the paint and drew the foul after he made the layup.
Tough call there. Tyler Nolan tries to take the charge, but they call a blocking foul on him. I mean, Marcus Gaffney is probably 2 times the weight of Tyler Nolan, so brave of him there to try and step in front of him and take the charge.
Yeah, maybe not a person you want to see charging at you at a fast velocity.
Especially if you're a freshman.
Spivey all the way ahead to Trina. Maintains possession, puts it up. Couldn't put it in, though, with the left hand.
GA can't find that finish right now. Just need to get in a little bit of a groove.
It's been difficult to get in the paint today with the size of Pennington. Trina's a guy who's good at that, though, and a finish here from Brandon Russell. Another 2 points for Pennington. Highest lead of the game at 16 now. Spivey faking the layup. Nolan open from 3. It's too strong. Topley tried to tip it back, but it was off of him. Marvin and Rollerson re-enter for the Patriots.
Yeah, Topley there, number 20. He was part of the scoring effort for GA last night. They really only had 4 main scorers, like we said earlier. Smith with 35, Trina with 18, Rollerson with 13, and Topley with 9.
Topley, another GA player, had a good game against Haverford. 6 points on 2 threes for him off the bench. He's really been GA's biggest scoring threat off of the bench this season. 14 of 34 overall from the floor. Another finish. This one coming from Dwayne Sneed, the freshman. He's a good outside shooter, but this time getting the reverse layup to go down. Nearly 30 points for Pennington. Spivey run into there. Last touch by Pennington. He couldn't finish that layup there, though, but you just see the power and the driving ability of Evan Spivey there, number 10 for GA.
Pennington right now just looks a little bit too big for GA on the inside. They got to get something going on the perimeter. More than likely going to come through Rollerson.
Marvin tried a turnaround floater. That wouldn't go as Sneed whips it ahead. Woolhouse against Marvin. The spin move, no finish.
Good defense from Marvin there on the much bigger Woolhouse.
Spivey wide open, goes up with it, and Woolhouse comes all the way back. There's somehow no goaltending call as Woolhouse's hand was extended far beyond the basket.
Looked pretty clear to me that it blatantly hit the glass, and then Woolhouse blocked it, which should obviously be a goaltend, but ref right there did not make the call.
Coach Dolan to his credit, is one of the most collected and calm coaches you will ever come across. But he was visibly frustrated after there was no goaltending call there. I mean, the ref was right there.
Yeah, Corey, going off what you just said, my policy is, you know it's a bad call when Coach Dolan shows any emotion. That's pretty much my indicator of how you know the call was not just.
I think that's a perfect indicator right there. I mean,
because GA could win by 30 or lose by 30, and you'd get a similar reaction out of Coach Dolan.
Yeah. Man, but when there's something that obvious, you just have to have it. If you get a call here, Smith driving in. I mean, if it was a tough angle, that's one thing. But when you have a clear angle, when it's just Spivey in on the basket, you have just two players there. It's fairly obvious, but Smith will look to earn 2 points here at the free throw line. We mentioned the 35 points from the senior last night against Penn Charter. That was not only the highest scoring total from a GA player this year, but Smith became the only Interact player this year to score 30-plus points in a game. The first GA player to have 35 points in a game since Jordan Longino had 36 against Devon Prep 2 years ago. Not only that performance by Smith last night is tied for the 6th most points in an Interact game over the past 20 years. That single game performance of 35 points last night. The game of Blake Smith's career. He's had such a great season, too. Miller couldn't convert on the layup. Up to Evan Spivey. Marvin on that last pass, and they'll send it right back to him. Jay looking to get back into this game down by 16. Spivey, the drive, tried to dish it out to Smith. It eventually trickles to him as he sizes Miller up. Goes up with it. Blake Smith couldn't finish it, gets his own rebound. The tough drive for Knott as he couldn't finish that last basket.
Yeah, Blake Smith having a little trouble right now finishing, but just going back to last night, I think that was pretty incredible for him to score 35 there in a packed PC gym with no GA fans allowed on their silent night. I think that says a lot about Blake and, you know, the role he's had to endure on this team this year.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to some of the takeaways from the PC game in a little bit, but just so challenging for GA, especially when you think about the fact that, as you just said, there were only 2 fans per rostered player for GA allowed, no visiting student spectators, while Penn Charter was allowed to pack the gym to seemingly however many people they wanted to, which, any way you shape it, provides a clear advantage for the home team.
Definitely, Corey.
In addition to the fact that it's their home court, they get as many number of fans as they want. Topley's 3 is off the mark here.
And that's just more credit to the team and how they played last night. Extremely incredible for them to go in there and do that against, you know, a PC team who beat LaSalle earlier this year, who GA did not have the most fun of games against.
Yeah, Penn Charter probably going to be the eventual Interact champion. Most likely either tied with Malvern or an individual title. First time for them since 2004. So a difficult task alone, talent-wise, for GA to beat them. Again, an extra level of difficulty added when you look at the difference in the fan numbers last night. And Casey Traina talked about how important fans are in GA's win on Tuesday. The energy they provided GA as a team were so important. Here, Miller finishes over Traina. GA was able to hold Pennington on the last couple of offensive possessions. Couldn't do so there, and again, the offense from GA just has not been there. Sneed forcing the turnover, Rollerson falling down, and it's an easy left-handed finish from the freshman Sneed. It's up to a 20-point deficit as Coach Dolan will take a timeout. Well, we had some graphics we did not quite get to on Senior Day, so figured we'd get to them here today. Look at the senior timeline. Again, we honored the seniors on Tuesday against Haverford. Several lifers in that class of 2022, first coming to GA in 2008. How long ago that feels. You see how many big games they've been a part of over the years. This senior class of 8 has been such a big contribution to this GA basketball program. And again, they were honored here on Tuesday against Haverford. And then here today, this is most likely the last home game of the seniors' career unless they host a playoff game. But certainly a great journey for all of these seniors.
Yeah, and for guys, like I said it on senior day, but for guys like Quinn Corman and Jake Shue, lifers here who have essentially dedicated their entire life to GA, and their whole childhood and growing up has been GA. I think it was really good on Tuesday to get to see those guys kind of essentially go out with a bang. And for their last home game here of their career, you'd like to see them, do something similar. But obviously, if they want that to happen, they got to start turning it on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, 3-point shooting's probably going to be a key. Again, GA was so successful, as he said last night, and then on Tuesday, because they shot the ball well from three. They've struggled in that department all season long, and they've been able to manufacture some wins. But when they've shot well from three, which they're more than able to do, it creates so many more opportunities offensively for them. Traina falling away from the basket, in and out. Marvin, nice job to get the rebound, and then a foul is called. Luke Marvin, typically a shooter for GA. This time, though, crashing the boards, getting the rebound, and drawing a foul. And he'll shoot one and one as Pennington's into the bonus.
Yeah, Corey, even guys last night that we consider more of drivers on this team, like Traina, even he was knocking down threes last night. So that's when it really comes in full circle for GAs, when they're able to develop in all facets of their offensive game.
For Marvin this season, ranks first in three-point percentage, first in free throw percentage, third in points per game, third in rebounds, third in assists, third in the steals. So guys really gotten involved in several different aspects. This GA team hits both of his free throws. Had a great game against SCH a few weeks ago. 12 points, all on three-pointers.
He's been very, very consistent as well, like you said, Corey. Unfortunately, in his last couple games, he's gotten in a little bit of foul trouble, which has made his play time drop a little bit, especially in the latter stages of games. But he's someone who Coach Dolan really needs in terms of consistency.
Pennington back in GA territory. They have it down low. Turning away, they put up the shot that wouldn't go as they battle for the loose ball. And as A.J. Towson and Quinn Corman reached in for it, a foul was called.
Yeah, freshman A.J. Towson in there right now. First time we've seen him all season. He was actually on JV to start the year and then recently got pulled up to varsity. So it's good to see him out there. Like I said, Coach Dolan is going to be forced to give younger guys a shot today with the injuries to Putnam and Shue.
Another very good two-sport athlete is A.J. Towson. Started at wide receiver multiple games during the football season, also after Jake Shue's injury. Woolhouse back into the game, tries a three, and hits it from long range.
He's feeling it right now. Woolhouse, tallest guy out here by at least 3 inches. And we've already seen him with a couple block shots today, and now he's hitting threes. So he's going to be a tough guy for GA to corral.
Yeah, when you're able to combine both the shooting and the size, difficult to go against. 13 seconds on the shot clock for GA. They send it all the way over for Smith in off of the bench after getting a break. Down to 6 seconds. Towson with it now, looking for an outlet. Bounces in out to Corman, but it's intercepted by Pennington as they head all the way back up. This is Jariah McKins, the senior. An easy layup after getting the steal. GA's been able to move the ball around, but have really had no easy openings in this Pennington defense. And Traina sends it out of bounds. He was open for Smith. Miscommunication between the two. It's a GA turnover. I mean, yeah, Pennington, a really good team, obviously, but maybe you weren't expecting this if you're GA, because you played 2 of your best games of the season last night and then on Tuesday.
I think fatigue has a lot to do with it, Corey. I mean, physically and mentally, you think about having to play extra minutes last night, and then on top of that, not coming away with the win, just how depleting that is for these guys. A rescheduled game here. I just think it is a tough situation for them against a good Pennington team, but you've got to give a little bit of a better showing than they're doing right now.
Yeah, Woolhouse to travel, so no points for Pennington off that last drive. Yeah, and then you got to turn around. Your star senior point guard is injured, and then your big man, who's going to be important today, Cole Putnam, against the height of Pennington, he's injured too.
Exactly.
So
it's a lot of things stacked up against them right now, but you kind of just got to not make excuses and try and get it done. And one here by Blake Smith.
What a drive and a finish from GA's leading scorer. 16 reckon points per game. Only helped his effort out there with the 35-point effort last night. Blake Smith now up to 13.67 points per game this season, 246 in total.
And I always say when GA's in a rut, they're only going to look to one guy, and it's usually going to be Blake Smith. He's the guy who starts the offense for them, gets them out of things when they're not clicking like they are right now, so they're going to need to keep going back to him here if they want to get out of this deficit.
Converts on the three-point play, and Smith likely a first-team All-Interact selection, especially after the effort last night. Down here against Woolhouse, and he is outsized. Woolhouse tried the dunk, didn't have the finish though. Smith all the way ahead. He's going to do it himself with the left hand, couldn't flip it in. Spivey's there for the rebound, and they're going to say tipped off of Pennington.
Smith a little frustrated right now, but Woolhouse there went for the little razzle-dazzle, I guess you could say. Could have just laid it up, but went for the dunk, and did not work in his favor.
That rim, that backboard still shaking after Mark Woolhouse got his hands on that one. Smith through two players, and he's fouled going up with it. With half a minute left, it'll be two shots from Blake Smith.
Yeah, Blake Smith took a really hard foul last night in that game against PC. Fully spread out on the floor. But he's not afraid to get into the paint and take some tough ones. And he gets a lot of his points from the line, Corey.
Yeah, that game last night, very physical from both these teams. We talked about the GAPC rivalry when we streamed the game a few weeks ago, and it's for the most part mainly extended to football, the historic football rivalry.
Yep.
But it is really also, especially this year, with both of these GAPC teams loaded with talent, it's really intensified, and a very physical game ensued last night. No good on the second one for Blake Smith. GA's still looking for their 20th point. In the meantime, though, they're down by 19. Shot clock and game clock about even as we approach halftime. Woolhouse getting loose. This time he goes up and will finish it off the glass.
No answer for him right now.
Shot clock unplugged. Under 10 seconds left for the Patriots. Marvin getting it in stride. Backing off Spivey. Nice move. Back out to Marvin trying to hit the three to end things here in the first half. That wouldn't go. And a tough finish here for the Patriots after a tough first half. 21-point lead for Pennington, the Red Raiders, here in this final home game of the season for the boys basketball team here at Germantown Academy. We'll be back for some second half action here from Fort Washington. In the meantime, it's Pennington heading into the locker room with a 21-point lead.
No, it's not.
It's on now.
You said everything.
Back under play here in the second half with Pennington holding on to a 21-point lead. That'll only increase to 23 here as Woolhouse, who's been a big key for Pennington so far today, converts on another layup. 42-19 as we resume play here in the second half. Train to try to drive in, was poked away. Gets to the loose ball though, and with 15 left to shoot, it's Rollerson who puts up a floater, gets promptly rejected. An immense amount of blocks for this Pennington team defensively. GA will let it roll out of bounds. We talked about it a lot in the first half, Jack, but a tough game for GA last night. I mean, some key takeaways. How does GA recover from the loss mentally? Losing by 1 in overtime after you clawed your way back. I mean, you just see the dejection and disbelief on the team as you watch the end of the game last night. Marvin from Rollerson, it's short, gets his own rebound. Was bumped into by Topley there, but will work it back out to Blake Smith. Puts one up, it's off the back iron, and the rebound to Pennington.
Yeah, Corey, going to your question, obviously for GA, I think it's more of a mental thing than physical fatigue here for them.
Just a bit high on that last layup.
Field goal, kick is good, but yeah, for GA, in terms of defense here, they got to find an answer for Woolhouse. He's been their guy, and GA hasn't really, had any defensive answer for him. And then on offense, GA's got to get something going collectively as a team and not just through one guy. They have 19 first half points. Blake Smith had 10 of them. They've got to get guys like Bryce and Casey going if they want to get, back in this game and start clawing away at this large margin.
It will stay with GA under the basket. But the other thing is, though, GA played probably, I think you could say, their best game of the season last night against the best team in the Interact, probably in Penn Charter, at least on paper.
Yep.
Most likely eventual champ. And as we talked about, against a massive amount of Penn Charter fans, well, no GA fans were allowed, and Penn Charter then stacked the gym. Really tough playing conditions. It didn't deter GA.
Yeah, and I guess worthy to note, when we hosted them here just a couple weeks ago, we let them have some fans in here. So I think, it's all about the policies. Obviously, they're Philadelphia County. We're Montgomery, but it's a little different. But, like we said earlier, we won't beat it to death, but it was really tough conditions last night, and it only leads to tougher conditions today coming back from that tough loss.
Certainly frustrating from GA's point of view with those guidelines. I mean, but again, though, GA's been written off, feels like so many times this season. They've always battled back in several different ways. Weren't, as we have some clarifications with the clock here. I mean, GA was not one of the teams who really was predicted to have a chance to interact. They quickly put that to rest after a slow start. Same thing occurred. GA put that to rest then, and then not many people predicted that GA would have almost beaten the most likely eventual champs in Penn Charter last night. They did just that. Woolhouse going to work downtown, but he traveled. Good defense by Marvin. It'll be
Great
GA
defense
ball.
by Marvin. Yeah, sorry, Corey. Going to your point, we always talk about how the Interact is wide open and anything can happen, but there have been times this season when GA's looked down and out. We mentioned they had a 30-point loss to Malvern earlier this year, and then obviously they came back and crushed Haverford the other day. So we've been really streaky, to say the least. Put together some, like we said, the last 2 games against Haverford and then last night against PC, great performances, but then, today has been a little different. So
after Topley missed the 3, Corey Miller hit his of the Pennington school. And yeah, but even last night against Haverford, you just see what GA is able to do when all things are going right for them.
Great rebound by Topley. GA just cannot get anything to fall right now from 3.
Pennington extending their lead. Again, it's been really tough for GA today. The 3-point shooting hasn't been there. And then the work by Pennington in the paint has been the big difference.
Woolhouse from 3.
Woolhouse going to work down low, and it creates the made layup for Pennington, who continue to extend the lead. For them, it's been a dominant effort both offensively and defensively.
Yeah, Corey, and one thing that GA had a tough time with last night that is continuing to be hard for them today is their rebounding on the defensive end. And against a guy like Woolhouse today, who out-physicals everyone else around him on this GA team, you know, it's hard for them to get rebounds on the defensive end, but they're going to need those because a lot of their offense comes in transition after they do get those rebounds. So they need to clean it up on the glass if they want any shot to get back in this game.
Miller scoops it across to Russell, but his layup was no good. Topley through multiple defenders. Good job to hang on to the ball. Traina's open down low. We'll dish things off to Rollerson, who looked like lost a grip on the ball, as Pierce will bring it back up for Pennington. See the confidence from Pierce there. The senior sets up an open three from Pennington that rattles in and out. Marcus Gaffney on that last three-point attempt. Pierce of Pennington loves to shoot the three ball. They haven't really needed him so much offensively because it's been Woolhouse who's been the main guy for them. Rollerson, tough layup that falls out. Miller on the loose ball. Against Kiski earlier this season, it was Pierce who had 25 points, which came on 5 three-pointers. That time, though, was Corey Miller on that last layup. Smith tried to dunk it, but
another
Woolhouse
block from Woolhouse
swatted it out of bounds. So GA will have 25 to shoot as they inbound under the basket here. Spivey back in for them. I mean, with Spivey, Smith, and Train all out there, you have multiple guys who can drive to the basket as Smith does just that.
There he is again.
Counted and one.
And they take Woolhouse out for a second, and Blake's able to get into the paint easily and not get blocked like he's had a couple times today. So that just speaks to how big of an impact Woolhouse has had for Pennington so far.
I mean, yeah, Smith kind of so difficult to guard against because he combines, I guess you could say, guard and forward attributes.
Yeah, his shooting skills along with his ability to drive, yeah.
He's a very good free throw shooter, as you would expect for someone who goes to the line very often. This season, 48 of 69, good for 69.6% from the floor. And he's made a bundle of free throws here today. Most recently, converting on the three-point play. Pleers against Topley, goes through the GA defense, lays it in with the left hand.
Yeah, I haven't mentioned his name a lot today, Pierce, but he's another guy for them that has both facets of his offensive game on lock. They just really haven't needed him, like you said, Corey.
Originally from Dover, Delaware. Verbal Commits gives him a 2-star rating. A nice finish on that last layup, as we have a whistle foul called down low. Well, the one thing that Pennington that maybe they didn't do perfectly in the first half was defend without fouling. They got up to 9 team fouls in that first half, created free throw opportunities for GA. That was their second team foul right there as Nolan and Traina come back in for the Patriots. Again, Pennington entering 7-7 overall this season. Corman lobbing one up for Nolan. He's got to keep it in GA territory. Does just that. Great effort to get it to Rollerson, whose floater goes down. A beautiful play executed by the 2 GA freshmen. Interesting thing about Pennington, including that 7-7 record, or losses against SCH, 73-42. That was back in November, though. A 78-51 loss against the Hunt School, and then a 54-50 win against Friend Selects. Those are all schools that GA played against. 3 ball goes down.
And those are 3 really good opponents, too. All 3 that you just said there, Corey.
Kim Zio hit that last 3, and the other thing is, I mean, it was, back in November when Pennington played SCH, but GA actually played, even though they lost to SCH, 2 much closer games than Pennington did, and a similar score against Friend Select. So on paper, 2 evenly matched teams. As Nolan's 2 almost fell down. Last touch by GA.
Yeah, the freshman Nolan there. Good to see him showing some confidence, taking a shot off the penetration, but.
And the key story for Pennington is they began the season with just 2 wins, but they've really turned things around in the second half. You see how good they have been today, nursing a 24-point lead. some to showcase that. In December, Pennington lost to Lawrenceville 84-52. This past January, Pennington beat Lawrenceville 64-59, demonstrating how tough they've been this second half of the season. Traina gets it up to Rollerson through the defense.
Great move from Bryce.
All the way to the basket and the finish.
Like we said earlier, doesn't play like a freshman. It's a big boy take there in transition.
Looks like perhaps the shortest member of the GA5 out there right now. You'd never know that. Second on the team in free throws attempted. A testament to his ability to get to the basket and how often defenders will foul him because of how many great moves he has.
Can't forget about the hair, though, for Bryce. Gives him a couple inches.
Gives him a few inches. Technically checking in at 5'11", as Smith will check back in for the Patriots. Under a minute left here in the third quarter.
Great defense we just saw there from Quinn Corman, too. A guy who's not known for his defense, to say the least. More of a shooter for the Patriots, but good defense from him there.
Yeah, Corman's seen a lot of playing time today. As they see a three here from Pennington. That's no good. Tough rebounding for them as Rollerson captures it against four defenders. Bryce Rollerson to the basket as he almost knocked it down, but he was fouled on the way up.
Another one. He almost had the N1 there.
It's literally a 1v4, and Bryce Rollerson makes it look routine.
He doesn't really think about pulling it out ever. He has one thing in mind, and it's the basket.
I got to say, not to pat ourselves on the back, but our players to watch this season have been pretty much on point.
They have, actually. We're kind of, when we say they're a player to watch, it's almost like they're listening, and they're trying to back us up.
They know. As Rollerson good on the first free throw, Topley back in for the Patriots.
It's a good observation, Corey.
Thank you. I mean, yeah, I think when we're on the money like that, we just need to let people know. 2-2 at the line. Towson will come back in for Rollerson. We'll get a breather, half a minute left. In this third quarter, shot clock and game clock separated by 0.7 of a second. An opportunity for Pennington now, lead down to 20 points. A game that is obviously going to be tough for GA, but as we've talked about, will only improve them skill-wise heading into the state tournament and get the underclassmen good playing time. Timeout called here by Pennington.
Shot clock essentially unplugged here with only 0.2 separating shot clock and game clock.
With the mention of the state tournament, we'll get a look at the GA remaining schedule. Again, one more game in the regular season. That's against Malvern on February 15th this coming week. GA's last Interact game, last regular season game. They had the chance to play spoiler against Malvern Prep, who is vying for an Interact title. And then the PASA Championship starting on the 22nd, depending upon where GA seed is. They could be playing for the Commonwealth Cup. That's for some of the lower seeds. Yeah, PASA Championship that wraps up on March 5th.
So a little bit of an emotional day for Patriots, essentially their last home game ever for these seniors.
Yeah, probably our last time calling one of these games. You don't know what the state tournament will bring, but live stream number 5 for us.
I've enjoyed it, Corey.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure as the missed three from Pennington sets up a ball that went out of bounds. 3.7 seconds left for Pennington to get something going. They've really been able to get a number of substitutions in with the 20-point lead. And the referees deliberating over the shot clock. Currently it's unplugged as that last shot hit the rim. So, after that last discussion, 3 seconds left for Pennington. Corman comes in to swat it away, so nothing doing on that last opportunity for Pennington. We head in the fourth quarter. They hold on to a 20-point lead.
Yeah, Patriots going to need something pretty significant here to get back into this game, but we've seen crazier things happen, Corey.
Well, let's take a look at our quote of the day here today. It's by Casey Traina. He said this after GA won the game against Haverford on Senior Day. He talked about how GA was so successful in a large part because they got so many different people involved. Jake Shue, Quinn Corman, Cole Putnam. And Traina talked about how that's when GA's at their best. When the scoring's not coming from one individual person, it's coming from everyone on the team.
100% agree, Corey. You've seen in the games they've been most successful this year, like that Haverford game, like that PC team last night. They've had a multitude of guys in double figures. And, you know, for them in the era of Jordan Longino graduating, you don't have that one guy you can just rely on for 30 every night anymore. Obviously, we saw Blake with 35 last night, but, you know, he can't do that every night. So for this team this year, they've had to rely on, you know, the whole starting five, freshman Bryce. So it really is when they're at their best, when every single one is contributing.
Again, this last home game for GA and the coaches versus Cancer game here today against the Red Raiders of Pennington. You go back over GA's season as they will inbound here to start the fourth quarter. Started off with 2 non-league wins against Cristo Rey and Friends Select. And then without Jake Shue and Casey Traina, GA suffered 2 non-league losses against LaSalle and Wissahickon High School. As Smith drives through the lane. No finish doing there for the senior. Back ahead goes Pennington. Most of the starting 5 out there for the Red Raiders as Smith hits the deck, but GA forced the turnover as Topley will drive things ahead for the Patriots. Count it,
Luke Topley.
Luke Topley over his head. He'll be headed to the line to try to make it a 3-point play. We've seen the shooting ability of Luke Topley all season, but right there we see him showcase the driving ability.
Yeah, he's a guy who's Coach Dolan's had to rely on more and more throughout the season. Started the year playing a little bit and gradually worked his time up more and more to eventually starting today in the absence of Jake Shue.
I mean, you go back to the season recap. When GA played Friends Central on December 14th, it was the first time Shue and Train had played in the same game together since February of last year. And that's been a big story with some of the GA injuries early on this season. As Miller chucks up a 2 over Rollerson, that wouldn't connect. Traina will push the floor up for the Patriots. We've seen multiple ball handlers today, mainly Rollerson. Smith from Traina with the left-handed finish. Good GA start to this fourth quarter.
Slowly chipping away, but it's going to have to come on both sides of the ball. With just 7 minutes left, they're going to need to get stops and stick tight on Woolhouse down low especially.
He's got it here as he'll circle into the zone. Rollerson's on him. They have the mismatch there. Instead, they hand it off, and a foul is called down low as Destin Evans drove into the paint. Foul called against Blake Smith. Just GA's second team fouled the second half. For GA then, after the Friends Central game, it was the 2 Make-A-Wish games, a game in which Jake Shue started. They won both of those. But then over winter break, all the tournaments GA was scheduled to play in. Nice move and finish here by Miller. All the tournaments GA was scheduled to play in were canceled. And then the first week back from break, due to the rising COVID cases, GA canceled all athletic events. So it was a massive time off for these GA players. Downtown 3 from Train is off the marks. Topley, nice job to get the rebound. And a foul called here against Pierce.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say they've had to endure some interesting times this year with a lot of different factors, illness, injuries, obviously. So,
yeah, by the time GA got to their first league game against Malvern, the team was mostly healthy, but a lot of the players had played so few non-league games over the past month that they were a little rusty. That resulted in the big Malvern win. Rollerson off balance too, and a rebound to Woolhouse. But then the next day against SCH, GA played a really close game against a good Blue Devils team. You see the shooting there from Pierce, who hits the 3 in the corner. And that started the trend for GA, where pretty much all of their league games since that first SCH game have been brutally competitive. Everything but the finish there for Train, as he had a nice drive into the lane. He's so good at that as Casey Train, utilizing his speed and agility to create open opportunities for himself. Marvin stepping up, opening down low. They tried to give it to Woolhouse. That wouldn't go, behind the back to Topley, and he's fouled here by Gaffney.
yeah, Corey, like you said, I think that SCH game was the start of an upward trend for GA. They realized that they could compete in this tough league. It was kind of at that point just about throwing 4 quarters together consistently and not, 2 or 3.
Yeah, question is, would there be any difference for GA this season if they were able to play more non-league games and they were canceled due to COVID? As Smith, his three's off the mark. Right to Rollerson. Quickly back up with it and knocks it down. GA will take a timeout to finish off that last point. This season, GA's played just 10 non-league games, the fewest of any Interact school. And again, a lot of that, GA didn't have as many games at the beginning of their schedule, but also because of COVID, games they played and were canceled. And you look at the Interact standings, the schools that are first, second, and third in the standings have played the most non-league games. I'm sensing a bit of a trend there.
Yeah, it just emphasizes the importance on meshing and gelling as a team, especially when you have, young guys like Bryce who play consistently. You're going to need those guys to gel, and GA just really didn't have the opportunity to do that with, their lack of games, like you said.
And they've looked so good once they've had that playing time later on this season. And with the mention of the Interact standings, we'll take a look at them here. Right now, it's Penn Charter and Malvern Prep sitting the top at 7-2. And that's something important to watch because those two teams played this past Tuesday. Malvern beat Penn Charter to get sole possession of the Interact. But a PC win over GA last night and an SCH win over Malvern means that those two teams are tied again now. It's 7-2. SCH just a game back of those two teams. And it also means that when GA plays Malvern this coming week, a win against the Friars could spoil their hopes of back-to-back league titles. So even though GA eliminated from a possible Interact title, still something to play for in their last regular season game against Malvern this coming week.
Yeah, and obviously for GA, you want to have, the best record you can. They've been victim to the wrong end of a lot of close games this year, and they'll want those games back. So this game against Malvern coming up this week is going to be one that they're going to want to win to put themselves a little higher in the standings.
Pierce stepping into a three, long range, he doesn't miss. Well, he talked about how he hasn't been needed to put up a lot of threes today. He has put up 3 threes in the third quarter, hit all 3 of them, all from that right side in GA territory. Smith fending off against Woolhouse. The double team sets it up from Topley that rattles in and out. Smith tried to get to the loose ball. Instead, it's Pierce flipping one ahead that Rollerson rejected. Bouncing ahead to Train, and GA's got a 2-on-1, a nice pass down low to Smith.
Great bounce pass from Casey there.
Who will jump up and finish the basket.
Could have easily been picked by the incoming defender, but chose to throw a bounce pass.
Despite being up by 20, most of these starters for Pennington have remained in. We've seen, as you pointed out, when Woolhouse has come out of the game, that's really opened up things for Blake Smith offensively. Here he gets it to Train, another 2-on-1. This time Train does it himself, and a foul is here called against Marcus Gaffney.
And in this fourth quarter here, it seemed like every time GA's sort of got back in a little bit, Pennington and Piers, especially in this fourth quarter, has been able to hit 3 or 2 to keep their lead at around 20.
2 shots at the line for Train, and missed his first one. Well, he talked about how this is the coaches versus cancer game, and we'd be remiss if we did not talk about Jim Fennery, who was such a big proponent of the coaches versus cancer program, former GA head coach, the late Jim Fennery class of 1760. You get a look at some of his accomplishments there at GA. And Jack, I don't have many regrets in my time at GA, but one of my few regrets is that I never got to meet Jim Fennery, class of 1760.
Yeah, fortunately for me, he was a guy who was nice enough to help me with the college recruitment process, and someone who went out of his way to call me, meet with my parents, and he was just a really great guy to me in terms of showing me the ropes of that whole process. And I was very, very fortunate to have met him and spent time with him. So obviously great man. We still think about him to this day at GA every day. And he's a legend that will never be forgotten here.
Both on and off the court. Pierce up with it. Falls down. A good three-point shooter, but at his size, can also drive into the lane, put up those tough layups. Blake Smith can put him up as well. This one, though, is short. Rebound to Pennington. 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. This is Miller against 2 Patriots. No problem there. And the junior finishes it off. Pennington taking the timeout, up by 24 now.
Yeah, when your name's Corey Miller, you can essentially do it all.
I greatly appreciate that. I think it must be the name that really has benefited him throughout his time. As Pennington will take the timeout, one last thing to look at is the number of Interac titles for all the teams in the Interac. Penn Charter first with 32. A lot of those came early on, back in the 20th century. GA, a lot of more recent titles. Again, Penn Charter hasn't won since 2004. Haverford and Malvern Prep have been the two dominant teams as of late. But again, Penn Charter trying to break their league winless drought. Win their first Interac title since 2004. Again, the teams in contention right now are Penn Charter, Malvern Prep, and SCH. For SCH, it'd be their first since 2010.
Yeah, Corey, we've talked about it all year, but just to reiterate, kind of shows how open the league is on a year-to-year basis. You can have anyone win it essentially any year. It just shows how important that each and every Interac game is, just like this one will be for the Patriots against Malvern this week.
And we've really seen that this season where, again, even teams out of contention, Episcopal, Haverford, and GA.
Yeah, who doesn't like playing spoiler, right?
They've had some big upsets. One of just two of Penn Charter's losses came against Haverford, only his 2 league wins. A.J. Towson, what a move.
Really
Couldn't
good move
quite
from the
lay it in,
freshman.
though. You see the athleticism that he showcases there. The freshman seeing the most playing time of his varsity basketball career today as he reels in the rebound.
And that's what you like to see from freshmen over anything else, just the confidence to be able to do what they want out there and not play timid. And I think we've seen that from AJ, we've seen that from Bryce and Tyler a little bit this game. So it's good to see guys like that who are the future of GA basketball have the confidence to, play freely.
Nolan, a pull-up and a finish. Tyler Nolan, talking about confident, has a chance to make it a three-point play. And we talked about in the last broadcast how much GA is going to miss their 8 seniors, but the playing time that all the underclassmen has got puts them at an advantage going forward because they're going to have experience to get much older players as this young core of GA players progresses in their high school career. Nolan converts. It's now a 21-point lead for the Red Raiders. Their starters get a rest now. Big lead as we approach the 2-minute mark in the fourth quarter. Foul called down low against Quinn Corman.
Quinn, nicknamed Wavy Corman with his new haircut.
That'll be something interesting to see as we do get to the state tournament in a few weeks, what this GA starting 5 and rotation will look like given the injuries to Shue and Putnam. We don't know how long Putnam will be out. Nice drive to the basket. Finishes there. Kaizio Spivey in turn finishes at the other end. There's the power and athleticism from Evan Spivey. He's played a lot today. A great defensive player, you see it there. Open 3 in the corner. Pennington, this is well short on the air ball. Spivey will bring things up, bodying people away.
Looking to push it quick as they always do.
Shucks it a little too high for A.J. Towson.
Too much time in the weight room with Coach Miggs.
Maybe he wanted one of the fans over there to get a little souvenir. Nonetheless, a minute and a half left for Pennington. Back on the offensive drive.
Those football coaches are definitely getting some muscle, I'll tell you that, from Evan.
Well, Coach Dents is here in attendance today. Maybe he likes what he sees. Again, Evan Spivey going to be a big part of the football team next year, as well as this basketball team, as one of just 2 seniors next year with Luke Topley. Rollerson from 3, goes down! Most of GA's starters on the bench, Rollerson the one exception. He stayed out there getting extra playing time, and he's the guy right now, as he will be in the next number of years. Someone GA can build around, and obviously you don't want to compare him to people, but it seemed like GA was in a similar situation a few years ago when Jordan Longino was a freshman. They had a really rough season, 2-8 in the Interac, but you could just see the light at the end of the tunnel when you have a player as good as Longino making that big of an impact as a freshman. Similar situation with Rollerson, it seems like.
Yeah, you're putting some pretty high standards up there for him. I don't want I don't want to play into that too much, but
Yeah,
like we said earlier, he's done a lot for this team this year, and he was asked to step in at the beginning of the year for injured Jacob and Casey, but he earned that spot as a starter, which is extremely impressive to do as a freshman.
behind the back. Towson passes out the 3, though. What a pass from Evan Spivey, though. As Nolan kicks it to Rollerson, he was fouled from 3.
Yeah, so just finishing up about Bryce, just, obviously he's earned every minute that he's got this year, and I already said it earlier, but he's gonna be the guy for GA in years to come. And here come the 2 Lumberjacks.
Jack Brookman, Henry Westcott, 2 of these 8 seniors into the game. As Rollerson will shoot 3. Again, we just want to again congratulate these 8 GA seniors. And again, a quick word on, Jake Shue, who has suffered through this foot injury he sustained during football season. Just so unfortunate. Has been an under-the-radar player, both on the football field and the basketball court. As Quinn Corman and A.J. Towson get a nice round of applause. You look at how much Jake Shue has improved his shot. Sophomore year shot 32% from 3. Last year up to 38%. The free throw percentage has gone from the 70s to the 85% range. Jake Shue's battled back throughout the full fall season to get back to the basketball court. And he does all this while maintaining the grades and the extracurriculars to attend the University of Pennsylvania.
Obviously one of the great role models we have at this school. Jake Shue embodies everything about being a GA Patriot, and couldn't be more proud of him and how he's adapted through some tough injuries this year.
He's a guy who you tell your kids that's who you should model your behavior after. To say the least, as the final horn sounds here, sealing a 68-53 win for Pennington. Again, GA's last home game of the season. They'll play Malvern this coming week and then start things up at the state tournament. Not the way they wanted to end things here tonight in a tough game. Jack, for us, you don't know what the state tournament's going to bring, but as of now, probably our last live stream of the season for us too, for the boys basketball season. It's been an absolute pleasure. Your final takeaways from this season?
Yeah, Corey, I just want to say it's been an absolute pleasure doing these. Had nothing but fun, and a huge shout out to these 8 seniors who I'm very close with. Great young guys, and congrats to them on a great season thus far, and hopefully they can end it off on a positive note.
Again, congratulations to all those seniors. For me, on a personal note, if this is my last time calling a boys basketball game at GA, called my first game, public address, 2 years ago as a sophomore. It was a game against Frieri Charter in which GA won by 20, a first of dozens and dozens and dozens of unbelievable games, and what an experience I've had here calling games at Germantown Academy, especially basketball. Just want to give a shout out to the team, all those seniors, Coach Dolan for being such a big part and help to us, the athletic department, communications department, all the parents, and especially the fans here at Germantown Academy, making our time here and my time calling games at Germantown Academy, especially with the basketball team, so memorable and special. But for us here today, that'll do it. We thank you so much for tuning in. For Sean Lipschitz, our cameraman, Jake Dirks on graphics today, for Jack Luviano, the amazing color commentator, and for possibly the last time this winter season, this is Corey Miller saying so long from Germantown Academy.